Hey guys, Joe Teti, Dale Comstock here on the range. We're going to talk about the next fundamental of shooting, which is a stance. We're actually using a SIRT pistol, great piece of kit. I shoot a Glock 17, that's what this is. It's basically a laser, but it's a great piece of kit. This way I can, show you these techniques while Dale explains them. So we're going to talk about stance.
If you're going to train with a firearm, okay, if you don't have a SIRT gun, first of all, make sure your gun is always cleared. The best way to do that is make sure you point down range in a safe direction, lock the slide to the rear, make sure the magazine is out of the weapon, right? And also look down inside the chamber, make sure it's clear, check it twice. And since I'm training with Joe, I'm gonna have Joe also double check it, okay? If he's satisfied it's clear, then we'll continue on with this particular weapon system. Why is that important? I want to just emphasize a little story. This was happening to me at one time. I was in my team room when I was in the Army. I had a guy walk in, and not my teammate, but he belonged actually to another organization. He brought a 45 in, and he's like, "Hey Dale, this gun's having problems. It belongs to my team leader at this other organization. Can you check it out?" I said, "Okay." And so, if you can imagine, there was a big table in front of me. It had a plexiglass cover on it. Underneath it, we had all kinds of, our hoorah pictures under it. And so he did what he thought was the right thing, was clear the weapon. And so what he did was simply this. He pulled the slide to the rear. He looked down the chamber, go, "Yep, there ain't no bullet in there." He dropped the slide and pulled the trigger, which is the tendency. People could drop the slide and pull the trigger. And guess what? He dropped the slide on a loaded magazine. He never cleared the magazine well. So basically that gun went off. That bullet went through the plexiglass table between my legs. All right, I got hit with plexiglass. He thought he killed me. Actually, I thought he killed me too. And, we kind of did a dick dance for a second. And it's like, shit, okay, that's it. Okay, no blood, right? And of course, he was shitting bricks because he knew he was going to get, he was going to get kicked out. But it's just that easy, man, to have an accident with a gun. And this guy thought he cleared the gun. So again, case in point, technique here is double check the gun, check the chamber, check the magazine well, check the chamber, do it twice. Otherwise you get in the habit of going, yeah, in there, boom. All right, slow down, check it, I'm good, okay?
Hey, it's Jimbo over here at TRS Survival with another tip for you. This may be one of the most important tips you ever get if you're ever caught in an urban meltdown. Like say there was a complete breakdown of our modern society, like if the power grid went down for a long time or something like that. Our own government estimates that within 6 months of a massive power grid failure, a shocking 90% of urban Americans will die. Are you ready for something like this? Most guys aren't, or they think they are, but they're really not. Mainly because they've been listening to and getting bad advice from the wrong people. Because while some folks will band together and help each other, most people will simply panic and resort to looting, brutality, and even murder to survive. You can imagine how desperate and dangerous things are going to get. Which is why I brought in former Delta operator and Green Beret, Dale Comstock, to give you the real scoop. Dale's been a combat soldier for over 30 years, and he's seen up close and personal what really happens when a modern society like ours suddenly comes to a crashing halt. It's not pretty, and the survival of you and your family will have little to do with bushcraft skills or what kind of tree bark is safe to eat. So Dale will show you 2 vital survival tips. Number 1, he'll show you exactly what gear and supplies you should pack in your bug-out bag or rucksack, and it's probably not what you think. Most people don't have anything like this ready, or they load up their sacks with the wrong kind of equipment and survival gear. These mistakes can cost you your life, but now you'll know precisely what you have to have ready and what you can do without. And number 2, you'll discover how to operate as a military patrol unit in a live combat situation. Okay, these are advanced military combat tactics almost never taught to civilians. It's intensive instruction that will have you and your buddies or your family operating like a well-oiled combat-ready commando unit. Okay, I wish I could show these videos to you right here, right now, but I can't. I can't risk having my channel banned. But you can get them all for free. Just click on the link in the description. I'll see you there.
All right, so I just want to bring that up in case you don't have a SIRT gun or another weapon to train with that's inert. Let's talk about stance real quick. So, probably since around the 50s, it was very common for police officers to use what was called the Weaver stance. Basically, it was a push-pull technique. The shooter would stand, he would blade himself so he was sideways toward the target. Okay, he would extend the gun out, and there's one elbow was pulling and one arm was pushing. So we got this push-pull technique going on here, right? That was the conventional way to shoot for a very, very, very long time. Now, over time, things started changing. And one of the things that was an impetus for change, particularly in law enforcement, and especially in combat marksmanship, was there was an incident, I believe it was in 1986 in Miami. A guy named Platts, and I can't remember the other guy's name now, but basically one of them was a former MP, Army MP, and one of them was a former Army Ranger. These guys were notorious bank robbers in Miami, and they were like just, robbing banks like on a regular basis, and nobody was able to catch them. FBI got involved, and they did their investigation, and one day they got intel that we got these guys, and it turned into a car chase through a neighborhood, car pile up, hitting trees, and everybody got out and the gunfight started. Well, the FBI suffered a lot of casualties. Eventually they killed, his name's Platts, and his name will come to me in a minute, but they eventually killed the Ranger and the MP, but it took a long time, and these guys took a lot of bullets and just kept on fighting. They wanted to win, and they had an M14, they had a shotgun, they had, I believe, a 9mm in the car. Most of the FBI agents had wheel guns. One guy had a 9mm. He had I forget what it was, but it was a 9mm. But he was pretty much ineffective. His car crashed outside the combat area, and he was across the street, and he had to engage from far away. Because these guys were fighting in between vehicles, he really never got a clear shot. A couple of the agents did get killed. One of them got killed because of a wheel gun, and we'll talk about wheel guns later and what's wrong with that. When I talk about wheel gun, I'm talking about a revolver. Essentially, it's got 5 or 6 bullets in it, depending on the model. And one of the things you got to know is which way does that cylinder rotate? When you're in a crunch, you can only put one bullet in there. Where do you put it? And make sure you get it right. And so actually, this guy got it wrong, and he paid for it. Plus, there were many other factors. So a lot came out of there. It actually changed, the training as well as equipment and weapon use by law enforcement. And most law enforcement agencies realized that revolvers really were not a non-starter in this day and age, in the age of automatic weapons. So most agencies are going to automatic weapons. Now, moving forward a little bit more, there were some studies that were done on this Weaver stance technique that we just discussed a second ago. And what was found was, and this is some scientific studies here, is that when a guy was trained in a Weaver stance and he got in a gunfight, okay, his natural survival instincts took over, and the natural thing to do is to resort to your gross motor skills, large muscle group. And you want to turn, and you naturally want to face the threat. You want to face the tiger, saber-toothed tiger, right? The dinosaur with a big rock. That's what you want to do, or you want to run like hell, right? So we resort on our large muscle groups, our butt cheeks, our shoulders, our back. Okay, that's what we're relying on, not our fine motor skills. And so we face the threat naturally, and we get into a crouch. We get small and strong. We get more leverage when we're down here than standing straight up. So we naturally do this anyways. So guys would naturally turn that were trained on the Weaver stance, trained to face the threat and get into a combat crouch and shoot. So the thought was, well, if you're going to do that, why don't we just train how to shoot from that position? So that's where the modified isosceles, because that's basically an isosceles stance, right? Feet, shoulders width apart, side by side, shooting like this. But as Joe pointed out before, earlier, when you shoot like that, what happens is when you fire multiple shots, you end up rocking back on your heels, and the gun starts to travel up, and you start shooting high, and you start missing, okay? So it's not a good position, and you can kind of get away with it with a handgun, but try it out with a rifle or a shotgun, you're gonna be sitting on your ass, right? So we came up with what's called modified isosceles, or what I call a combat crouch, and that's basically toe to heel. Okay, if you watch some of our other videos where we do some hand-to-hand combat techniques, we talk about a boxer stance and modified boxer stance. It's basically toe to heel. It's the same stance. Okay, but now I have more of a base under me. I can actually squat comfortably, just like I'm surfing on a surfboard, right? I have good balance. I'm gonna lean forward. I want 60% of my weight on the balls of my feet. 60% of my weight on that front leg and 40% on the heels, 40% on the back leg. So I have this constant forward pressure and I'm leaning forward into the gun, whether it's, you know, a handgun, whether it's a carbine. And one caveat, if it's a shotgun, I'm gonna throw this leg back one extra half step. I'm gonna get just a little bit more leverage on it, get my ass behind it because of the recoil. Otherwise, it's toe to heel. And so all the other fundamentals apply. What we're gonna do anyways, we're gonna get to this combat crouch, we're gonna get low. We're naturally gonna present our center mass to the threat because we gotta face this threat, the saber-toothed tiger, right? So if we're gonna do that, that's why we have plates as well, okay? So we're presenting our plates, if we're wearing body armor, we're giving that to, let the guy shoot you the plates, at least give it to him, right? You know how many guys get shot to the side of their body armor? We know guys all the time.
You've had it.
Right through the side, armpits, through the shoulder. I've seen a guy get shot through the shoulder and that round go all the way through his chest and kill him like that, okay? At least you have a chance facing the threat with the plates up front. So that's what we talk about, you know, this modified isosceles or this combat crouch. If you're gonna go in this position anyways, learn how to shoot from this position. So that's your stance. Toe to heel, shoulders width apart, 60-40 weight distribution on the balls of your feet, on your front leg. And the other reason why is the weight distribution, besides having constant forward pressure, the other thing it allows me to do, for example, if I need to take a step back, all I gotta do is pick up the back leg and it naturally propels me back. And I bring the front leg backwards, I slide it back, and I'm always maintaining contact with the earth, and I always have balance, and I can always react a lot faster. It's called a push-slide technique. Same thing if I have to move forward. I'm taking a shot and I need to take a step forward. I just lift the front leg and it naturally propels me forward. And then I bring the back leg up, back into base. If I go to my right, just lift the leg up. If I go to my left, just lift this leg up. It's just that simple. I always have a base beneath me, okay? Avoid walking. Never walk backwards, okay, in your stance. Use this base, pick that back leg up, and push slide back. And notice what happened with my back leg. I hit this door, I knew it was there, I didn't trip over it. It might have been a street curb, it might have been a dead body. At least I didn't fall over it, right? My legs start becoming curb fillers. Joe?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've always told people when it comes to stance is don't get too wrapped around the axle. I've seen people say, you're on the range, like move your foot back just a little bit, an inch. Guys, it's gotta be natural, okay? Bottom fucking line, it's got to be natural.
I have actually, let me caveat that real quick. What a good way to test that, a great way to test that. So I'm gonna have Joe, stand right here, Joe. Keep your feet just like that, right? And now what I'm gonna do is I only want you to move since you're right, this is your strong side. I want you to move that leg there you go. Now that's your natural position, right? There you go. That's your natural base position. He's naturally assuming a natural base. That's how you test. So you can line up a whole bunch of guys, walk down, push each one in the chest, and they'll naturally go into what's a comfortable base position, right? Unless it's Joe, then Joe just kind of falls over.
Guys, the point I'm trying to make is this. Here's the point I'm trying to make. It's natural. I'm not going to correct somebody that's on the range that's not standing exactly right, because now all they're going to focus on is their fucking stance, okay? And there's 6 more things you need to focus on. Me personally, when I go to the range, whether I'm shooting a carbine, right, whether I'm shooting a pistol, right, whether I'm pulling out my knife, it's all the same. It's all the same stance. It doesn't matter. I'm in the same fighting stance. Look, Dale was saying, I'm gonna be honest with you. I stand different. When I shoot, my right leg is back a little bit farther because this is the way I fight. I'm not going to be exactly right, but what Dale is saying is correct. You've got to be in a position where your body is forward, you're able to move like he was saying, but you want to be able to fight from whether you're carbine, pistol, knife, it's all from the same position.
Right.
That way you don't have to train yourself to shoot. Well, I'm gonna shoot my pistol this way, and I'm gonna shoot my carbine. Bullshit. You're shooting from the same fucking stance every time. I don't care if it's with a knife, carbine, pistol, doesn't matter. It's all from the same platform.
People ask all the time, well, what position should I shoot from? And the argument is made, well, whatever position you happen to be in at the time, you're running along and you get attacked. This is my combat. This is my position, right? I gotta fight from here because the guy's shooting at me. Actually, you might start from that, but you want to move to base. Get back into that base shooting position. And it's not just a shooting, but it's a combat fighting position. Joe was right. I'm shooting my pistol from that. I'm shooting my rifle from that position. I'm shooting my shotgun from that position. I'm using a knife from that position. I'm swinging a baseball bat from that position. It's my base, and Joe's right. his stance may be off just a little bit more. As long as he has balance and he's comfortable with that, that's fine. You know, that's why when I pushed him on his chest, every guy's his leg's gonna go into a different position, but it's gonna basically be a modified isosceles. It gives him a base of power and it allows him to move more agilely left, right, backwards, and forwards. Again, I want to caveat, avoid crossing your feet, stepping behind each other, walking backwards. Yeah, you have to learn how to shoot moving forward and even backwards, right? If I move backwards, I'm push sliding backwards, okay? I'm never walking backwards. If I gotta move forward, sure. If it's a short movement, 5 feet or something like that, I'll push slide forward using my technique. But if it's a long movement, maybe I gotta move quickly, do what we call a range walk, and I gotta hustle a little bit, I'm gonna run, but that's a different technique, shooting and moving, okay? Which that's gonna be addressed later on. So right now you need a base to start from. So what we're covering is the basics. You know, as I always say, advanced techniques are the basics mastered, okay? There's no sexy way of shooting. There's no super fast way to learn overnight to be Wyatt Earp. You know, if you wanna be the best shooter you can be, learn the fundamentals, apply the fundamentals every time.
We'll be showing more fundamentals here in the next video, and if you like what you see, ring the bell.
Thanks for watching our video lessons here at TRS Direct. Hit the like button down below and consider subscribing to our channel here on YouTube. Hit the bell icon and we'll send you a notification when there's a new lesson available. Thanks again for watching.